Kwaba, welcome to this week's edition of Ghana in Focus. Myself, Kwame, Ghanaian broadcaster, writer, journalist, podcaster, and entrepreneur. And in this week's episode of Ghana in Focus, we're looking at relationships, looking at why some marriages in Ghana are breaking up. Yep, so that's the topic for this week's discussion. Why some marriages in Ghana are breaking up. Yep. So before we get into the podcast, just to make you aware that if you like what you hear, please share with your friends, family, social media networks. Subscribe to Ghana Africa in Focus podcast on YouTube. We want to try and get 100 subscribers by the end of the year. So if you're not subscribed to Ghana Africa in Focus on YouTube, please do. We're also on Spotify as well. Just look for Africa Ghana in Focus podcast on Spotify and then click the follow button, meaning that every time I upload a new podcast, Spotify will notify you. All right, so we're looking to get 800 followers on Spotify by the end of the year. So if I've got 535, so I thank every one of you who have subscribed to the podcast on Spotify. And again, we do, if you want to visit Ghana, do business in Ghana, buy land, buy property, etc., we do offer a consulting session whereby we can look at what you want to do in Ghana and we can try and make a package that suits your needs. So we offer a 1-hour consultation session for $30 or we do a half-hour briefing session for $20 for that half an hour. All right, so if you are interested in wanting to have a consultation with myself, then you can email me and I'll leave you my email address at the footnotes to the podcast. All right, so let's get into the podcast today, looking about how some marriages in Ghana are just falling apart. Now, as I mentioned in the relationships, and I'm going to look at it from both men and female aspects of it, so we look at the men. So, as I mentioned before, marriage is something that is valued in many African societies. Ghana, is not Ghana is not an exclusion. And so in Ghanaian society, whether you're male or female, one is encouraged by their parents to get married at some point in their life. Preferably the younger the better. When I mean younger, possibly late 20s, early 30s onwards. Most Ghanaians, are married by 40, but even that's now beginning to change because of the, economic position that many particular Ghanaian men find themselves in. So I know for a fact that there's many men in Ghana, many women in Ghana who are late 30s, early 40s, who are not married because of this, economic pressure, cost of living crisis in Ghana. And in our society, in the Ghanaian society or cultural context, is the man that has to do all the, the wedding and the knocking and this kind of things, the dowry, in order to, marry the woman. And so, many men in Ghana today, in Ghana's economy today, haven't got that money in which to, purchase someone, let alone get a dowry, let alone have a marriage ceremony. And so, it's creating like a strange situation in Ghana, possibly the same in a lot of African countries, whereby a lot of young people between, say, 35 and 40, or between 30 and 40, are not getting married as earlier as their parents and grandparents did. And so that's could be a cause for concern, but we can discuss that, at another time. But like I say, marriage is something that is encouraged within the Ghanaian African culture setting. And so with some men, a lot of men want to get married before they're 35 and have a child and have a family before they're 40. But a lot of men, even particularly in today's society in Ghana, they're not really screwed up because of not clued up on marriage. Even though some of them may go to church or, in terms of Muslim, go to the mosque, etc., for me, I don't think they get that quality, guidance from an elder as to how to enter into a marriage setting and also what that marriage setting could tell as well. So let's give me an example of this. Many men, when they get married, expect a woman to cook for them. Yeah. Now, I'm not saying it's a wrong thing, but what I'm saying is that, why is this pressure being put on the women when today in Ghanaian society, just as the West, a lot of women are working now. So a lot of women are, they're educated and they've got or want to aspire to a career, whether it's in engineering, being teacher, nurse, what have you. A lot of women in Ghana want to have a career. And so, if you as a man are expecting the woman to cook, yeah, and you don't want to cook, that presents problems, yeah. And that's one reason, that's one reason why some men are leaving their wives, because, probably the woman can't cook properly, can't cook at all, or, the man's not happy with with the fact that she's not cooking the food that he wants kind of thing. And so, that is one way in which a lot of men were not stepping up to play because, given, that this drive for equality between the sexes. I personally believe in equality because men can't do things women can do, i.e. get pregnant, and women can't do things that men can do. For example, ejaculate, yeah? And so this idea of equality for me is just a Western trait that many Africans are brought into. Men and women are not equal. And like I said, women can give birth, you as a man can't. Yeah. So how are we equal in that regard? There's things that women can do that men can't do, and there's things that men can do that women can't do. But back to a point about about domestication. I think a lot of men today in Ghana need to be domesticated, i.e., need to learn how to cook, clean, and what have you, right? You don't need your wife solely to do that. I noticed that in Ghanaian society as well, they have a lot of these maids, cook and all that nonsense, which for me is a remnant of slavery or enslavement and colonization. You don't need to, particularly the Western in the West. When you live in the West, you don't have a cook or maid or a driver. But when you come to Ghana, you think you've got a bit of money now, and now you want to have a cook, a chef, a maid. No. That's a remnant from enslavement and colonialism that for me, it doesn't make sense. And so a lot of men in Ghana, are not really domesticated, and that puts pressure on the woman, and this can lead to a situation where women's had enough and that she walk out of the marriage. Because a lot of men in Ghana do not want to pull their weight when it comes to domestication because they have this old school mentality that, which is still in Ghana, that a woman's place is in the home. A woman's place should be looking after the children and cooking and doing what have you. In Ghana, like other parts of the world, times are changing, yeah? And that, it's not even that times are changing, but I'll come on to that in a minute. But times are changing. So women want more from their men than their mothers and their grandmothers. And so a lot of men need to see this and wake up and that not expect the woman to cook and clean for you the way your mom did to your dad or the way your grandmother did to your grandfather. Yeah. But when we say times have changed, that again, it can be very subjective because African culture is in from European culture. Yeah. And like what is good for European culture or Western culture is not necessarily good for African culture. And I see that now in some African societies, particularly those that have been influenced by the West. This thing about, women empowerment, is something that is becoming detrimental to the family. I'm not saying that women should not be empowered, but when you have a situation whereby the empowerment of women overrides a key function within the African family structure, an African family unit, then it can present problems. But I'll come to that in a minute. And so for me, a lot of men need to really get domesticated and share with the woman the cooking, the cleaning, the washing, etc. Do not leave it all to the woman because, like I said, a lot of women are now working, so you can't expect a woman to, or your wife or your partner, to come home from work after a hard day at work, you know, and then expect her to cook your food for you. That can work nowadays. You as a man got to share in the cooking. So maybe you may split it within you, you know, 3 times a week, you know, the man cooks and then the woman cooks weekend or vice versa. But a lot of men need to, you know, step to the plate in regards to the area. Now, another reason why, you know, marriages in Ghana are breaking up is because a lot of men in Ghana don't know how to communicate. Communication is the key to any relationship. Yeah. And it's not just about, oh, a do say, does this, no. Or about love, this, love that. No. You want to talk to your partner about how she feels. For example, she had a hard day at work. And like I said, you come home, it's better to make her food. She probably had a very tough day at work, right? And she wants to release the energy, right? But you as a man, you won't ask her how was the day at work, so that she can, you know, feel that you care about her and that you really and that you want to know how she got on her work. That may release some energy, particularly negative energy that is holding in her. So as a man, if you don't know how to communicate with your woman, right, then you know it doesn't bode well for a happy, stable marriage, yeah. Because it's not about money, even though a lot of Ghanaian women that want money, yeah. At the end of the day, right, you know, you got to learn as a man, you got to learn how to communicate with a woman. Very, very important. And because a lot of Ghanaian men don't know how to communicate with women, a lot of relationships in Ghana, marriages in Ghana, particularly, are breaking down. Yeah. Again, another reason why some marriages in Ghana are breaking up because a lot of the men, yeah, have got not sugar daddy. Yeah, some of the men are becoming sugar daddies, right? And when their wives or partners find out that they've been cheated upon, then obviously they leave that relationship. And so some Ghanaian men, particularly those who are affluent or have, you know, working, you know, high paid jobs, whether it's a government job or banking or whatever, right? You know, because they've got some quote unquote disposable income now, right? You see a lot of these men in Ghana, these big men, so-called big men in Ghana. They want to get these young girls, you know, between 18 and 30. You got your wife. So your wife is probably about 35. But because you are greedy, right? And because you think you got a bit of money, right? You can throw about, yeah. Then you want to get these young girls, yeah. And then when your wife finds out that you've gone behind her back and cheated on her with some young girl, right? She's obviously going to leave you. That's just common sense. But you see, a lot of Ghanaian men, you know, like to, you know, in the way, have their cake and eat it. They're married, but yet they want a piece of the action. So they think they got a bit of money, they got a bit of status in, you know, in Ghanaian society. So they want to get some of these young girls, and some of these young girls are so dumb anyway. Some of these young Ghanaian girls, you know, 19, 21, 22. Like I said, a lot of Ghanaian girls are chasing money. And so, you know, if you know, and then they're placed in Accra, where Ghanaian girls hunt for rich men. Yeah, I will name you 2 places in Ghana, sorry, in Accra, where women go to try and find men. There's a famous restaurant in Ghana called Frankie's in Accra. Sorry, Frankie's, right? A lot of young girls there go to them eateries, right, to find rich men, right? And then there's, you know, other popular joints in Accra, but that's one of them, Frankie's. And then, you know, some of these, entertainment centers, you know, like Jokers, like Hemingway, like Village City. You know, you get some of these young Ghanaian girls, not late teens, probably in their 20s, yeah, go to these places, these nightclubs or these entertainment centers and try and catch, some rich man who's, flirting back with his money. And so, these young girls are trying to buy wealth, they try to buy status as well. And so a lot of these Ghanaian men play into that and end up having these, as we say in Ghana, side chicks. Yeah. And obviously when your wife finds out, she's gonna leave you. But some women stay because maybe they value the marriage or the children. So some Ghanaian women stay, but a lot of Ghanaian women, if you've heard them with some of a woman, right, a lot of Ghanaian women are leaving, and explains why, again, some marriages in Ghana are breaking up because of the playable or the promiscuity of some Ghanaian men, particularly those who feel they've got a bit of money and have got some status in Ghanaian society. And the last aspect as to why, in terms of men, a lot of marriages are breaking up in Ghana is that, money is a big thing in Ghana. I don't know why, but money being able to provide is a big thing. And so in Ghana, if you as a man are not seen to give your partner or your wife chop money, we call it chop money, bonankuma. I don't know I don't know what that means in English, chop money or whatever. I can't break it down in English, but probably upkeep. Probably upkeep is a more appropriate term. Upkeep. So you use a man, if you're not giving your wife, your woman chop money or upkeeping her, right? Even though, like I say, in this economy in Ghana, where there's challenges within the economy and the cost of living crisis, a lot of marriages are breaking up because of that. Because although a lot of women think that they're meant to be in tight, they're meant to be in stingy, but they're not. Because, like I said, the economy is not good at the moment. The upkeep that a lot of women are expecting, is simply not coming forth. And as such, a lot of women are leaving their relationships and marriages because they think that the Ghanaian men are not providing for them and they can get another man who will do that. Or they think Ghanaian men are being stingy. But the reality is, like I said, in this economy where there's a huge cost of living crisis and a massive inflation, those days of guaranteed chop money or guaranteed upkeep provisioned by a man, those days for now are probably gone because, like I said, Ghana is hard right now. So that's on the male side, some of the behaviors of men that are leading to marriage breakdowns. Now, women, like I said, a lot of Ghanaian women are chasing money. And so she will leave a man if she feels the man's not providing for her. So, the man may be doing his best. He may have a, decent job, what have you. But because, some of these women are high maintenance in Ghana, yeah, they overthink or over expect the man to basically give money, not understanding that the man's got a family as well that he may have to look out for. And also, if you've got children with that man as well, obviously, then also your children need to be taken into consideration. But there's a lot of women in Ghana, like I said, chasing money. And so if they feel that that man is not providing for them in terms of their own personal upkeep, then they're going to leave the man and they'll find another man who's got money, who they believe has got money, who they believe can, look after them. I know for a fact that a lot of women have left their partners in Ghana over the last 2 years because of the cost of living crisis in Ghana. And I'm saying, why did you get married in the first place? What happened to for richer, for poorer, for better, for worse, to death do us part? Yeah, what happened to that Ghanaian woman? Why you leave your man? Because the man can't give you the money like he was doing so when you first met. Obviously, didn't you know there's a cost of living crisis in Ghana? Didn't you know there's massive inflation in Ghana, in this economy? So, but unfortunately, that is the reason why some Ghanaian women are leaving their marriages because they think they can get, a man who can give them more money and can take better care of them than their spouses. Now, another reason why, some marriages break up in Ghana from the female side perspective, yeah, believe it or not, and I've seen this in myself in Ghana, but believe it or not, Ghanaian women, married ones as well, they play. Yeah, like I told you before, right? In she's part 1 or 2, right? Ghanaian women, when they've got the boyfriend, right? They've got men on the side. They've got men that buy them clothes only. They've got men that take them to dinner only. They've got men that buys presents only. They've got men that they have sex with only. Yeah. So even when they get married out, some of these Ghanaian women have these little tricks, right? So Ghanaian men got side chicks, right? Some of these Ghanaian women also got men on the side. So if the man, if the partner finds out that you got a man on the side, he's obviously going to leave you. Because in Ghana today, because of the westernization of Ghana, a lot of women and men haven't got the morality that our parents and grandparents had. And so a lot of women now, they're becoming very, very not promiscuous, but a lot of them are becoming players and only thinking about themselves and what they can get for themselves from a man, and not thinking about the bigger picture in terms of family unit and in terms of, the nature and safeguarding the nuances of the Ghanaian or African family. And so, because a lot of women are selfish, thinking about themselves, getting their husband's back, this again, results to a lot of marriage breakdown in Ghana. And we see that a lot happening in Ghana now. Now, again, another reason why, some marriages in Ghana are breaking up. Again, particularly these young girls who get married, why a lot of them are not as domesticated as their mothers or grandmothers, yeah? Maybe because they didn't listen to their mum, or because they now want to imbibe the Western culture, Western society, yeah? Which a lot of young girls on the faith of are doing, yeah? They're not as, in quote, domesticated as their mothers or grandmothers were. And so, like I said, rightly or wrongly, a lot of Ghanaian women expect Ghanaian men, sorry, a lot of Ghanaian men are expecting, rightly or wrongly, Ghanaian women to cook, at least to cook. That's standard in Ghana. That is standard, that's basic. But today's society, today's young women in Ghana, a lot of them do not know how to cook. Yeah? Our African traditional Ghanaian dishes, whether it's jollof rice, emutio, red, banku and tilapia, boja pesin in kuntumbre, all these Ghanaian classic dishes. A lot of these young girls can't cook. Yeah? And many Ghanaian men, one thing about Ghanaian men, they love their food. So if you're a woman, you can't satisfy your man stomach, then the man's gonna leave you. And a lot of marriages in Ghana are breaking up because the woman can't cook, and the husbands are not satisfied with their food. And so, a Ghanaian man will lead the marriage, right? Rightly or wrongly, because the wife can't cook, and they'll find the woman that can cook. Again, another reason why marriages in Ghana are breaking up, because on the women's side, yeah? Because some women now in Ghana today, they have this, like I said, this westernization of our culture, yeah? The femininity, the feminism aspect of some Ghanaian women, right? Makes them not respect the man, and also not respect the nuances of Ghanaian family structure or the African family structure. And so you see some relations, right? Maybe the woman doesn't want a child yet, or she's thinking about her career first, or what have you, right? Or she's just milking the man for her own selfish needs. Then obviously that's going to end in Britain, because a lot of Ghanaian men will not put up with that feminist, that Western feminist claptrap that some of our women in Ghana are bought into, right? And again, a lot of Ghanaian men are family orientated. So if you as an African woman, black woman, you come with that feminist tip, right? And you try to incorporate that within your marriage to make the man look as if it's nothing, then obviously that's not going to work as a marriage in Ghana. And so again, because of this westernization of our culture, and even to an extent, to a degree, is beginning to creep in now, our family structure, because of all these telenovelas that Ghanaian women are watching, right? It gives them this impression that there's something better than the Ghanaian or African life, family structure. And so, you know, these subtle influences are having a big impact on the way many of our Ghanaian women, particularly young Ghanaian girls, think about marriage, relationships, particularly from an African setting. And so these factors are contributing to marriage breakdowns in Ghana. And so I've gone over as to why some men are leaving their marriages, and also why some women in Ghana are leaving their marriages. So I'm clearly saying that marriage is about compromise. Marriage is not about, what you as a man want or what you as a woman want, yeah? You got to compromise. Both of you got to compromise, yeah? And turn down your expectations, yeah? Particularly when you have children, because it's not about you as a man. It's not about you as a woman. It's about the family. It's about the children, yeah? The children that you will have with that person you choose to call your life partner, yeah? Every marriage has its ups and downs, yeah? And it's about working them out. It's about communication. This is why I talked about the communication, particularly Ghanaian men. Communication is an important part of the relationship. And if you can't communicate as a man or as a woman, then you shouldn't get married in the first place. Yeah. Marriage, again, is a very, very important part of the Ghanaian cultural and traditional aspect. Yeah. And marriage is taken very, very seriously in Ghana. And so when you enter a marriage, right, you take that marriage very, very seriously, yeah, and not play about, not think that it's about you or about what you want or what I can get from the man or what I can get from the woman. That's why it's a part. That's why a marriage is like a partnership, yeah. What you as the man bring to the table and what you as a woman bring to the table. That's why it's called a marriage, a partnership between a female and a male, yeah. And so, you know, I would implore, those who want to get into marriage in Ghana, that you need to go into marriage, right, for the right reasons, not for money, not for milking the man, not for expecting the woman to be a servant, not for the woman to be like a sex, object, but you need to get into marriage for a wholesome, meaningful relationship, right, that will bring out children who you will grow up, nurture to be upright, upstanding citizens of the country. Yeah, that's what a marriage is about. Marriage is about partnership. What you as a man bring to the table, what you as a woman bring to the table. And so, I don't want to go on too much about marriages because I've talked about it in previously in terms of the importance of marriage in a Ghanaian and African setting. This podcast was to just give you some indication of why a lot of marriages in Ghana are beginning to break. And for me, couple of biggies before I go, couple of big reasons why marriages are breaking up is because, like I said, a lot of Ghanaian men and women are pressured into marrying, yeah, when they're not really ready psychologically, emotionally, and even probably spiritually, yeah. And so because of the pressure from the family, a lot of men and women are into marriages, right, without thinking about what they get themselves into. That again is also a big problem down the line. And again, this is particularly in terms of the women, right? A lot of these so-called men of God, pastors in Ghana, are having a tremendous influence, right, on some of the women who are married, right? And even we know that in Ghana, that some of these pastors, some of these so-called men of God, these criminals, right, serving as men of God, some of these criminals, right, are even dating at the back door some wives who have husbands. Yeah. And these pastors have tremendous influence. Not just if you think they have influence in Ghanaian society, when it comes to elections and the promises and the commission, No. They have a huge influence, right? In terms of even some women. Some of these partners, right, even tell the woman, because they want them for themselves, right? They even tell the woman, leave your husband. Yeah. So these partners have a massive influence, right, on some of the women in Ghana, which is leading to some marriage breakdowns. And so I hope you've enjoyed this edition of Ghana in Focus, looking about why some marriages in Ghana are breaking up. And it's important that you understand this, so that when you do, particularly if you're from the diaspora, and you enter into marriage in Ghana, to look out for some of the things that I just pointed about communication, about the chop money aspect, about the fact that some Ghanaian girls will play behind your back. You got to be careful about that. And if you're a woman from the diaspora, that some Ghanaian men will expect you to cook and clean, that kind of thing, and they don't want to cook and clean. That some Ghanaian men, particularly the affluent, if you marry somebody who's affluent, well to do, marry a side chick at the back. These are things you need to recognize, before entering into marriage within a Ghanaian context. So for myself, Kwame, and from the crew here on Ghana in Focus, thank you very much for listening. In part 2, in the next edition of Ghana in Focus, we'll tell you about relationships, but in this regarding about relationships, should a man help a woman? And this is because Wadden Meyer, who's a famous Ghanaian YouTuber, famous African YouTuber, did the podcast or did YouTube some months ago. I think it was either this year or last year, that he helps his wife, Miss Trudy, right? And there was a lot of backlash on that he shouldn't be helping his wife because some women are this and that. But I'll explain more next week in Ghana in Focus. And so for myself, Kwame, and for all the crew, thank you for listening. And like I said, please subscribe to the program on YouTube. Look out for YouTube, Ghana Africa in Focus. And also hit the notification bell, meaning that YouTube will notify you every time I upload a new podcast. You can also subscribe on Spotify. Look out for Ghana African Focus on Spotify. Hit the follow button, and Spotify will notify you every time I upload a new podcast. All right, so for myself, Kwame, and all the crew here, thank you for listening, and we'll see you in the next edition of Ghana in Focus.